This is a critical lecture, a review of our seminar deliverables for EDU824 Education and Technology. And the deliverables, the major deliverables, are going to be an emerging technologies paper, a Gates Foundation proposal built on 2 iterations of design drafts, and an IT acquisition paper, and a development plan. This is all in partnership with our discussions that are going to build our knowledge of emerging trends, technologies, and the understanding of the IT infrastructure. We have an iterative nature of the seminar, in that one thing will build upon the other, so it is absolutely critical to keep up. It is not something that can be caught up with at the end of the term, because one thing builds upon the next, and I'll describe how that happens shortly. But it's an exciting time in technology. We see changes happening at an incredible pace. The Emerging Technologies paper that we begin our seminar with is an exploration of all things in the technology field, and that's the NBIC revolution. That's nanotechnology, biology, information technology, and cognitive science. All of these things are becoming merged into a tremendous revolution that has really had its ascendancy within the last 5 to 10 years. There are very rich resources available to us to peer around the corner and into the future. And we have linkages through such things as TED Talks and YouTube and other resources that link us to leading thinkers. So, the first paper, the Emerging Technologies paper, is a maximum 10-page paper, 1 page of which are your references. And you're to hold in mind the basic concept of our course of education and technology. And that is, how do we bring technologies to bear to enrich, extend, and amplify the student learning? And we're in an era now where we don't have to be in mass production of students. We can actually have a tailored curriculum and learning platform for each individual student. So I want you to hold in mind your ideal learner-centric environment, and then search for technologies that would facilitate that environment and learning. Look beyond the field of education. You can look at things that are happening within commerce and industry, the enterprise world. You can look internationally. You can look at the military, always first adopters of new technologies. And I want you to select a minimum of 3 emerging technologies. We'll have discussed in class some really rich resources that you can look at that actually devote their time to emerging technologies. And you can just browse through that, and with that ideal learner-centric environment in mind, you can see what new emerging technologies might fit to that environment. The Gates Foundation proposal is our culminating holder of all the work that we're going to do in this semester. We begin with that Emerging Technologies paper. That forms the basis and the bottom of our work that rolls up throughout the semester and the seminar to the Gates Foundation proposal. The second thing that you're going to do is your first design draft of what does that ideal learner-centric environment look like that's enriched with IT. You're going to just give a basic description of what you're thinking about. And with that first design draft, I'll provide you some feedback on how you might tailor it or have some other considerations. With that information, you'll go ahead and produce your second design draft, and once we have that pretty well identified, you'll also start to develop what IT, your information technology, that you're going to need to acquire in order to support that ideal IT-enriched, learner-centered learning environment. And once we have all of those papers done, then that rolls into the Gates Foundation proposal. And really the Gates Foundation proposal is merely a holder for the work you've done in the design draft, the IT acquisition. So you should consider this an iterative process, which you cannot wait until the end of semester to start doing the emerging technologies paper, the design drafts, the acquisition paper. It has to be done step by step, finding out what the emerging technologies are, building a design draft that holds your idea of what this fabulous IT enriched learning environment is going to be like, looking at the IT that's necessary to support it, and then rolling it up into the foundation proposal. Now, let's just focus here on the design drafts 1 and 2. Remember, you are designing this student-centered IT-enriched learning environment as if you yourself were the student who was going to benefit from it. I think that it has to ignite our own passion. So we have to be able to apply some of the phenomenal attributes of the new technologies and what we know as educators. It's got to excite ourselves for how can we excite and inspire and encourage our own students if it doesn't excite us. So remember to hold that together. And you have 2 design drafts. The first one is just a sketch of what that ideal learning environment is going to look like. The second one is going to be based on feedback that I provide you. You're going to enrich it and deepen it and move forward that way. You have the context. There are no standards, like No Child Left Behind, or there's no money concern. You have all the money in the world. And your design is actually going to be a drawing. It could be a graphic with text or audio, just a text description. You can do a video or an animation. But it has to be, the first design draft has to be descriptive enough to convey your idea. Then the IT acquisition paper is going to be supporting that particular design draft that we both settle on. It's a 5-page maximum paper. You're going to use a template that's provided within our seminar. It's under course resources. You're going to describe the learner-centric design just briefly. You're going to list the IT components for the learner-centric IT. It's hardware, software, applications, systems, networking, and other. You'll look at organizational IT, the hardware required for that, the personnel support, staffing requirements, the enterprise architecture, information, data, and systems. For the IT acquisition, there's a template. It's a 2-page template that's located on Campus Web under Resources, and you're just going to fill in the blanks. This will guide you through the process of looking at the technology you're going to need in order to support that environment. Finally, you're going to take all these iterations and you're going to look at the Gates Foundation proposal, and that focus of the proposals, they have several focuses in their proposal form, is scaling deeper learning and engagement through the use of richly interactive technologies in order to improve student learning outcomes. Now, why do we put it into the Gates Foundation proposal? Well, the proposal application period changes throughout the year. And while you may never actually submit the Gates Foundation proposal, this is going to be good practice to see what a grant funder such as Bill and Melinda Gates require when they see proposals coming forward. And who knows, I am very confident that there are those among you that are going to have ideas that are so exciting and so innovative that they'll be definitely worthy of a Gates Foundation proposal submission. And who knows, you may be among those chosen. You're going to use the template that I've provided. Again, it's fill in the blanks. You'll give a project overview. The focal area we've already discussed is the deeper learning. You're going to Tell us, how does this address learner challenges? How does this address the assessment and IT requirements? And you just insert your IT acquisition paper for this. And this is a bit of a look at what the Gates Foundation Next Generation Learning Challenge proposal looks like. You'll put your name there, the seminar. It's only EDU824, the semester prepared for me. This is a multi-page template. It's located as a resource on Campus Web. Here's just one idea of somebody's great idea for IT-enriched learning environment. And this is Jack Henderson, and he submitted this as his ideal educational world. He has put himself into the frame of being the student who would be enriched in this way. So who is Jack? He's told us that he's creative, passionate, likes to listen, spiritual, futuristic, and a visionary. And he's looking at various technologies to enhance his learning. And this is a link to a YouTube video on virtual glasses. And he wanted to have the ability to create his own learning based on his personal curiosity, the ability to interact with his learning environment, kinetic learning, and the ability to learn in a context that is congruent with my background and upbringing, so culturally sensitive learning. And he invites us to enter his environment. And in this environment, you can see he has all sorts of things. He's going to use virtual reality gaming devices. He's going to have holographic glasses. He's going to have a tailored specification for how he wants to learn. And he gives an example, and I'm just going through it very, very briefly, is that I think I might write a play that reflects my family history. You think you can create that? So he's asking this of his technology, and his assistant, his technology assistant, said, "Sure thing, Jack." And so he uses things like Story Painter and other technologies. And he wanted to look at American history and how it impacted his family line. And he interacts with his ancestors through accessing databases that have their history and genealogy. And from that, he creates his play. There are many more ideas, by the way, as to this ideal IT-enriched student learning environment. And in the last seminars, some people have come forward with incredibly innovative games that teach a way of appreciating diversity in a very non-threatening and definitely non-competitive but engaging way. The other thing that's very important is a stakeholder development plan, because if you're doing new technologies, you have to know as an educational leader, you just can't put a new technology into a school or a room or an environment without bringing the stakeholders that are going to be touched by this technology. It's too often overlooked, and I have yet another template for you to fill in the blanks, and it's a very brief one that indicates, who are the stakeholders that would be affected by your IT enriched learning environment, the kind of development they need, when to schedule it, and the rationale. This is a very brief kind of development plan, but it is very, very essential if you want to bring those people who are involved and engaged and touched by your ideas and innovations. And a reminder, this is learner-centered, IT-enriched learning environment focused around you. You're to put yourself into a grade or a year at the university where you actually are involved. So can you imagine yourself as a 5th grader or 8th grader, middle school student, or as a high school student, or as a college student or graduate student? Put yourself into that frame, and that environment is created around you and your passions and interests. The assignments, including the readings and discussions, all build towards the final iteration that comes rolling forth as the Gates Foundation. There are design rooms on Campus Web in our seminar for exploration that might help stimulate your thinking. And you cannot catch up at the end of the semester with this seminar. It is impossible because one thing builds upon the next. Emerging technology gives you an idea for the design drafts, which will lead to the IT acquisition that you need to support that design, and rolled forward into the Gates Foundation proposal with the thinking about what kind of development is needed by all your stakeholders to make this happen. So be timely and you will have a great semester. We will all have a great semester. Questions? Be sure you ask me.